I'm ashamed of having a daughter like you." My mother's words echoed from the kitchen ceiling, mingling with the clinking of ceramic cups. My hand froze in the dishwater. When I turned my head, I found her leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed with that familiar expression of disappointment. There was no mercy in her eyes, just a weariness accumulated over the years, a mother worn out by me. "My name is Elif. I'm 29 years old, and I've heard this sentence in hundreds of different versions throughout my life, but it had never been said so starkly, so finally. "Mom, I started, but she raised her hand. "Just what? Just continuing to ruin my life. Do you know what the neighbors think? Aish's aunt's daughter became a doctor. Fatma's daughter is working abroad. Mine is still sitting at home at 29 with no achievements." I pulled my hand out of the dishwater. My fingertips were wrinkled, just like something inside me was wrinkling and shrinking. "I told you I found a graphic design job." "Part-time," she laughed, bitter and sharp. "Do you seriously call part-time work a job?" In that moment in that kitchen, amid the cloud of disappointment mixed with the smell of dish soap, I realized something. My mother wasn't looking at me. What she was looking at was the daughter she wanted, the success story she could brag about to the neighbors, the perfect child she could display in her showcase. I had never been that daughter, and I wasn't going to try to be anymore. You know, when does a person's breaking point come? Not in a big explosion, a fight, a dramatic moment. It comes quietly on a Tuesday evening with your hands in the dishwater, searching for yourself in your mother's eyes and not finding it. That's when it comes. "Okay," I said quietly. "Okay, what?" "You're right, I'm ashamed of having a mother like you too." It was as if the oxygen in the air suddenly vanished. My mother looked at me as if I'd spoken a foreign language. Maybe I had. Maybe after 29 years, I was finally speaking in my own language for the first time. "What did you just say to me?" she asked, her voice rising with a tremble. "What you heard," I said, and this time my voice didn't waver. "You never saw me. What you saw was always my reflection in other people's eyes. What the neighbors think, what the relatives will say, how we appear on social media. It wasn't me that mattered to you. My feelings, my dreams, my pains, none of them ever were." "Don't be ungrateful," she shouted. "Who raised you, who clothed you, who educated you?" "You did a mother's duty," I said, taking the kitchen towel with hands that no longer trembled. "But you didn't give a mother's love. Love is unconditional, Mom. Yours came with conditions, expectations, comparisons. You didn't love me, you tried to control me." My words hit like a slap. Her face flushed, her eyes filled with tears, but those tears were from anger, not remorse. I knew those tears. How many times had she played the victim like this to make me feel guilty? "Go," she said, pointing her finger at the door. "If you don't want to stay here, go. Let's see how easy life is out there." In that moment, in that threatening sentence, I saw a hidden truth. She didn't think I would leave. That was why she had belittled me, crushed me for years. In her eyes, I was so worthless, so inadequate, so dependent that I could never leave. I wouldn't have the strength. And maybe the old Elif really couldn't have left. But this Elif in the kitchen, hands still damp, heart beating clearly for the first time, was different. "Okay," I said, "I'm leaving." For the first time, I saw real shock on my mother's face. "What?" "What you heard, I'm leaving. I'll pack up and move out within a week." You can't be serious," she stammered. "Where will you go? Who will you stay with? Do you even have money?" "For the first time in my life," I said, "these will be my problems, not yours, because you've always seen me as a problem anyway. Now I'm solving it, I'm removing myself." There in that kitchen, amid the hum of the old Bosch refrigerator, a daughter said goodbye to her mother. But the same daughter, perhaps for the first time, met herself. The week after that night passed in a strange silence. My mother didn't speak to me, but she kept wandering around the house, as if waiting every moment for me to give in, apologize, and return to my old place. I didn't give in. I called Zeynep, my friend from university, the only person in my life who truly understood what my mother had done to me. "Come," she said on the phone. "My room is small, but the couch is yours. Stay as long as you want." As I packed my things, I felt a strange sensation. Nothing really felt like it belonged to me. Most of the clothes in the closet my mother had chosen. "This suits you better," she'd say. Some of the books on the desk were a waste of time in her eyes. Read a business book instead of novels. Even the pictures on the wall I'd hung. Because she said, this would look more aesthetic here. In the end, only 2 suitcases worth of belongings emerged. the summary of a 29-year life, 2 suitcases, but maybe that was the problem. I had never lived, I had only played a supporting role in the life my mother wanted. On the day I left, I prepared breakfast out of habit. My mother came into the kitchen, looked at me, then poured her tea into her glass and left without a word. Even then, somewhere deep inside, I might have been waiting for an apology, a don't go, and I was wrong. It didn't come. I placed my suitcases by the door. I left my keychain on the table. My mother didn't come out of the living room. The sound of the TV came, a folk music program, as if it were an ordinary day, as if her daughter wasn't leaving home. I opened the door, I took one step outside, then another. On the third step I realized I hadn't even looked back, and I didn't. When I arrived at Zeynep's place I cried, but not from joy, not from anger, just from exhaustion. I had let go of the weight I'd carried for years, yet my body was still bent as if carrying it. It would take time to straighten up. The first month was the hardest. With the money from my part-time job I contributed to Zeynep, saving the rest. My mother didn't call, relatives did. You're upsetting your mother, they said. A mother has rights, they said. She raised you, this is your thanks, they said. I didn't explain to any of them, because I knew they wouldn't believe me even if I did. In their eyes, my mother was the perfect mother, sacrificial, hardworking, doing everything for her family. And I was the ungrateful child, the one who abandoned her mother, disrespectful, selfish. But one day I ran into an old neighbor by chance. Aunt Selma hugged me when she saw me. My girl, what happened? Your mother is so upset. Upset, I asked with a bitter smile. Or embarrassed, I'm curious what she told the neighbors. Aunt Selma's face changed. She said, Elif found a job in another city. She's building a career and I had to let her go. I burst out laughing, such a laugh that Aunt Selma flinched. So she didn't tell the truth, I said. She didn't say her daughter left her, couldn't take it anymore and ran away. She put on another mask. Elif, you. Auntie, I said, taking her hand. My mother didn't love me, she loved her image. And now she's still protecting that image. I'm no longer part of that game. I left her there and walked away. I felt both relieved and bittersweet. My mother hadn't even accepted my absence. She had just repackaged it and presented it to the neighbors. In the third month, something changed. My graphic design work grew. A small agency offered me a full-time position. The salary wasn't low, in fact it was double my old part-time job. For the first time I was making my own decisions with my own money. Zeynep and I moved into a small 2-room apartment. For the first time in my life I had a roommate who was my choice, not just a roommate. When shopping I no longer heard my mother's voice in my head. That's too expensive, you don't need that, don't waste money. I was making my own choices. The first thing I bought was a potted plant. My mother never liked plants. They bring dirt, they're hard to care for, she'd say. I bought a lush, large-leaved monstera. Every morning as I watered it, something inside me felt like it was healing. In the 6th month my mother sent her first message, "How are you?" 2 words, after 6 months, 2 words, I didn't reply. She hadn't apologized, hadn't asked why, hadn't shown real concern. Just, "How are you?" As if it were an ordinary day, ordinary conversation. The next day another one, "Are you home?" I didn't reply again. On the 3rd day the phone rang. It was my mother calling. I looked at the screen, saw her name, the phone vibrated in my hand. I didn't answer. A week later there was a knock at the door. Zeynep hadn't come home from work yet. When I opened it my mother was standing there. She looked older, tired. But the expression on her face was the same, righteous, resentful, expectant. "Won't you let me in?" she said. "How did you find the address?" "Selma told me," she said, shrugging. "It wasn't hard." Of course she had. Our old neighbor, the one who knows everything, spreads everything, Aunt Selma. I let her in, because a part of me was still that obedient girl who couldn't say no to her mother, but another part had already changed. "It's nice here," she said, looking around, but her voice was searching for criticism more than admiration. "Small, but it'll do." "It's enough for me," I said. She sat on the couch, I sat across from her. I stood next to my monstera as if it were a shield. "Elif," she said, clasping her hands together, "this game is over now, come home." "Game," I repeated. "Was my life a game to you?" "You know what I mean, you've spent enough time out here, you've learned your lesson, have you realize? Ed your mother's worth, now come and let's all forget about this." There it was, the problem in those very sentences. You've learned your lesson. Realize your mother's worth. Let's all forget. It wasn't about me again, not about my feelings, my pain, my decision. It was just her ego, her control, her fear of how we look. Moms, I said quietly, I'm not coming home. Her face changed. What? I'm not coming back, because that place isn't my home anymore. Maybe it never was. Don't be ridiculous, that house will be yours, with my efforts, with your grandfather's money. A home is more than bricks and cement, I interrupted. A home is where you feel safe. I never felt safe in that house. I was always waiting to be criticized, to be seen as inadequate, to be compared to others. I pushed you to be a better person, she said, her voice hardening. If I'd been soft, you'd be in much worse places now. There's a chasm between being soft and being abusive, Mom. You chose the second. And now, when you've learned how to live without your daughter, you come and say, come home. Why? Did you really miss me? Or did you miss someone to wash the dishes, iron the clothes? Say, yes, Mom, you're right. Her voice cracked. I am your mother. Biologically, yes, I said, but emotionally, being a mother isn't just giving birth to a child. Being a mother means seeing them, listening to them, accepting them. You did none of those. Tears streamed down her cheeks. The old Elif would have jumped up, hugged her, said, don't be upset. The current Elif stayed seated and watched. How many times, she said, crying, how many times did I struggle to give you a good life? After your father left us, I raised you alone. I did everything. Yes, I said, you did everything, but you didn't love me. You saw me as an investment. I put this much effort into her, so she should give me this much back. But Mom, a child isn't a debt. A child isn't a success scoreboard, a retirement plan, a social status. I loved you so much, she shouted. No, I said, my voice unbroken this time. You loved controlling me, you loved needing me, you loved molding me into what you wanted, but you never loved the real me, because you never tried to know the real me. She stood up, grabbed her bag. You'll regret this, she said, now in a cold voice without crying. You'll be alone, and when you need someone, there'll be no one beside you. Then you'll understand a mother's worth. She walked to the door, she held the knob, turned and looked at me. I'm giving you one last chance, come with me. No, I said. She slammed the door as she left. I stood there in the living room next to my monstera plant and realized for the first time, I wasn't trembling, I wasn't crying, there was no regret inside me. There was only relief. I could have surrendered forever to my mother's expectations, her grip, her, you're my daughter, you belong to me mentality. Or now in this moment I could be a person standing on her own feet, making her own choices. I had made my choice. If you were in my place, if you realized that your mother never truly loved you, only wanted to control you, would you return home, or would you choose to take root in that unfamiliar soil where you finally felt free? The days after my mother left passed in a strange calm. When Zeynep came home, I told her everything. I'm proud of you, she said. That night we talked for hours, drank coffee, and for the first time in my life when I spoke about my mother, I wasn't in defense mode. I was just telling it like a case, like a story. Do you think she'll come back? Zeynep asked. I don't know, I said, but it doesn't matter anymore, because my answer will be the same. 2 weeks later it was my birthday. I was turning 30. Last year my mother had forgotten my birthday, then said, oh, was it today? I was so busy. This year, for the first time, there was no day I expected someone to remember, because I would remember it myself. Zeynep and I had a small celebration. I chose my own cake, strawberry cheesecake, the one my mother hated but I loved. As I blew out the candles, I made a wish, to be at peace with myself. Simple but real. That night the phone rang, an unknown number. I answered. Is this Elif? Said a woman's voice. Yes. I'm Nurten, your mother's friend. You don't know me, but I know you. My heart tightened. Had my mother sent someone else? Just know this, said Aunt Nurten, her voice old and weary. Your mother tells everyone you're doing great at a wonderful job, that you're successful, but I know the truth, because my daughter left just like you did years ago. My breath caught. She left. Yes, and I acted just like your mother. I controlled her, belittled her, made my love conditional. My daughter left, and 10 years later we said goodbye. She died of cancer. The last time we spoke, she said, Mom, I wish you'd loved me just once for who I was. Tears med down my face. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, she said. Your mother is doing what she does. She'll lose too, but maybe your story will have a different ending. Maybe she'll change, maybe you'll give her a chance. Maybe you won't, both are your right, just know this, you're right, and you're not alone. When I hung up, I cried for a long time. I'd never met Nurton's daughter, but it was as if she'd held up a mirror to me. I could have died too, 10 years from now, without reconciling with my mother, or I could live without her but free. I chose the second option. Another 6 months passed, my career progressed, the agency promoted me to senior designer. For the first time my salary reached 5 figures, I rented a small studio apartment all my own. Zeynep and I said goodbye, but this time it wasn't bittersweet, it was happy. You're both flying, she said. As I furnished my studio, I chose everything myself. The colors, the furniture, the curtains, the pillows. None of them carried my mother's voice saying, "This doesn't match. That one's better. Don't waste money." On my first night there, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, I cried, but this time from happiness. Then one day, a new project came in at work. The client was a large family company wanting a corporate identity refresh. When I walked into the meeting, the woman across from me looked familiar. Middle-aged, elegant, confident. Then I remembered Gulseren Hanım from my mother's old workplace. "Elif," she said, surprised, "is that you?" "Yes," I said, smiling, "it's me. Your mother mentioned you were successful, but, wow, senior designer, how wonderful." Throughout the meeting, I was professional, calm, successful. We got the project. As Gulseren Hanım left, she said, "Say hello to your mother, she must be so proud of you." When I got home, I thought about it. Was my mother proud, or was she still telling people she abandoned me? Did it matter? No, it didn't matter anymore. In the 9th month, my mother messaged again. This time it was different. "I'm sick. I went to the doctor. It's not serious, but I'm alone. Can you come?" I read it again and again. 2 voices battled inside me. One said, "She's your mother, go." The other said, "This is manipulation again, don't go." I called Zeynep. "What should I do?" "Ask your heart," she said. "If it says go, go. But if you go, don't go as the old Elif, go as the new Elif, with your boundaries, with your strength." I went to the hospital. My mother was in a small room, white sheets, blue hospital gown. When she saw me, her face lit up, then immediately tensed, as if even joy was a weakness. "You came," she said. "I came," I said. "What is it?" "Gallbladder, I'll have surgery, it's minor, but I'm scared." I sat beside her. For the first time I heard my mother say she was scared. She was always strong, always right, always in control. Now in the hospital bed, she looked small, vulnerable. "Are you alone?" I asked. "Relatives stopped by, neighbors too, but you didn't come." "Because you didn't call either," I said quietly. "For 9 months, you only remembered me when you got sick." Her eyes filled. "Because I was hurt, because you abandoned me." "I didn't abandon you," I said. "I saved myself, do you understand the difference?" She turned her head away. "Everyone blames me now. You, Nurton, even Selma says you were a bit harsh. But no one understands. I wanted to raise you well." "Mom," I said, taking her hand, for the first time of my own will. "Raising well isn't the same as hurting. You weren't a mother who loved me. You were a mother who controlled me, and I don't want to be controlled anymore." "So what do you want?" she asked, her voice breaking. "For me to cut you off completely?" "No," I said. "I want you to see me as I am, even when I'm not successful, even when I haven't won awards, even when I can't compete with the neighbors. I want you to love me just for being Elif." There was a long silence. Then my mother, perhaps for the first time in her life, said, "I don't know how to do that." And in that moment, everything changed, because she had admitted it. She didn't know how. Maybe her own mother hadn't loved her either. Maybe this was a wound passed down through generations. Maybe my mother was a victim too, just a different version. "You can learn," I said. "If you want to, you can go to therapy, read books, talk to me, really talk. But you have to do it because you want to, not just because I do." Before the surgery, I held her hand. "It'll go well," I said. "You'll recover, then you'll make a real decision, will you change or won't you?" The surgery was successful. During her recovery, my mother called me a few times, asking different questions this time. "What are you up to? How's work? Are you happy?" At first it felt strange. Then I realized she wasn't pretending. She was trying, clumsily, awkwardly, but trying. A month later, when she was discharged, I didn't go to her house. "You come to me," I said. She came. When she entered my studio, she looked around, at my monstera, my colorful pillows, the paintings on the wall. It's nice, she said. This time she really meant it. I made coffee, we sat. Mom, I said, I want to say something. I'm not forgiving you, not yet, maybe never, but I'm giving you a chance. Slowly, step by step, if you show me you're changing, maybe one day we can have a relationship, a real one without fear and control. She nodded. I'm going to therapy, she said quietly. The first session was hard, I cried a lot, but I'll keep going, not for you anymore, for myself. That sentence, that last sentence, gave me hope, because real change only happens when a person wants it for themselves. A year passed. My relationship with my mother was still complicated, still difficult, still distant, but it was no longer toxic. We met once a week, drank coffee, sometimes argued, but now she didn't say you're nothing, and I could say I don't have to forgive you. One day on a Sunday morning, my mother brought me a small package. Open it, she said. I opened it. Inside was an old photo album, me as a baby, as a child in elementary school, but I'd never seen these photos. These are the ones I kept hidden, my mother said. The others were always about your achievements, your awards, but these are just you, laughing, playing, being mischievous. I hid them because they reminded me of you, the real you, and I was afraid to see the real you. I looked at the photos. Little Elif smiling with muddy hands, little Elif face smeared with ice cream, little Elif happy, loved, free. I wish, my mother said, her voice trembling, I wish I'd loved that girl as she grew up too. For the first time I hugged my mother, really hugged her, and she hugged me back tightly as if she could reclaim the lost years. We can't change the past, I said, but we can write the future. 2 years later today I'm 32, my relationship with my mother isn't perfect. Sometimes her old reflexes come out, sometimes I get triggered. But the difference is this, we can talk about it now. When I say, Mom, what you said hurt me, she says, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. And I can say, thank you. Last night my mother called me. Elif, I want to ask something. Ask. Do you regret it, leaving home? I thought about it, really thought. No, I said, I don't regret it, because if I hadn't left, neither you nor I would have changed. We'd both be lost. I left and found myself, and maybe you found yourself after losing me. You're right, she said. I wish I'd understood sooner, but better late than never, right? Exactly, Mom, better late than never. Today my mother stopped by my studio. She brought a small potted plant. A sibling for your monstera, she said, smiling. With your permission, I'll get one for my place too. Maybe a little greenery will do me good. I took the pot and placed it next to the monstera. 2 plants, both green, both growing, both breathing. Just like my mother and me. Separate but connected, damaged but healing, unable to change the past but able to write the future. And if someone asks me, did you run away from home or did you find yourself? My answer would be both. Sometimes running away is the only way to find yourself.